Yeah,
Well,
but I
I was
don't.
going I was going to add that your generation also has to deal with cancel culture as well,
Oh
right?
my God.
It's something
Yes.
that has come up in the past few years, and there have been many people who have been canceled, and one who is just about to be canceled is a woman by the name of Laurie Scheck, who is a professor of creative writing at the New School in New York. She's a decades-long veteran of the classroom, and her offense was she was talking about James Baldwin's documentary called "I Am Not Your Negro," and during one of James Baldwin's actual statements back in 1963 on an appearance in television, he said the words, and I'm about to use the word, so if you're triggered, I apologize. But this is a news report. I'm just trying to report what's on the news. Okay,
You
so
just looking for an excuse to say
Yep,
it.
you're gonna get
Just-
canceled.
Just like I do when I'm listening to my hip hop. That's fine. Go ahead.
So on a television program in 1963, James Baldwin said the words, "I am not a knee." And so this professor used the word, talking about it, saying, like, this is like, how would we feel if, the documentary had used that word? And she's in hot water right now. And I'm of two. I know I wanted to bring this up. I know we're running late, but I wanted to bring this up because, Bobby, you're a writer. And in your work, you've used the word. In my work, I'm a writer as well. And in my work, I've used the word. But there is a complex number of rules around using the word now.
When I think of Todd, I use that word in my head.
Todd, I just want you
White's
to know
attached to it, but
you're my N-word, Todd. You're my N-word. Just
Here's what I'll say to this. It's a complex debate, and I think it's a worthy debate. But one thing that I found disconcerting, that I found to be a political trend, particularly for the younger generation, so Megan, but not Megan specifically, because Megan's actually quite balanced. But some people who have, I think, been inculcated into particular tranches of subculture. In Gen Z, they have a new sort of line of reasoning where if one person is triggered or experiences, even if there was like 1,000 instances where everybody's fine, if one person in a crowd of 1,000 has a problem with it, you have done something wrong. Now, in cases like rape or racism, this applies because, if you've raped somebody, you can't be like, well, there's 999 girls I didn't rape, right?
This is true.
What about the Ted Bundy's going? There's millions of people I haven't murdered in the world. Like, what? Why are you always going to focus on the negative?
If there is one person in a crowd of 1,000 that doesn't like a joke, do not go to comedy clubs.
No,
Holy cow!
But this is the problem, and I'm curious to see what you think about this, Todd, because I can only imagine what it's like to be a stand-up comedian, because we're now in a culture where if one person is offended, right? Legitimately, they're not even pretending, they're actually offended, even if they're overwhelmingly the minority of the minority of the minority, but it's one person. And now what they say is, well, yes, that may be your experience, but you cannot invalidate my experience.
True. But my job as a joke teller is to try and make everyone in that room feel good. Like that's my job, right? And if I have somehow not made that happen, I've had to have discussions about some of my jokes after shows with audience members, and it's a great discussion, and I love having it. And it really helps. There are some times where you just go, you know what, this is not your type of comedy, because that can be a case. But there's a difference between a type of comedy and a content of the comedy. And when I don't have the content right, I firmly believe I can make a joke about whatever I want, firmly. But I got to make sure that it lands, right? I got to make sure that the reference always uses The Simpsons when Homer ran the sushi menu and had fugu, which I thought was made up, but that's actually a piece of sushi, and it's blowfish. And chefs go to school for 10 years or so to learn how to cut fugu, because if you cut it great, if you cut it perfectly, it's the most delicious piece of sushi you'll ever have. If you cut it wrong, you die. And that's comedy.